because I want to enjoy it. So I'm getting up to the point where it's like, oh, I know why this happens. I know why this happens. Maybe I'll get caught, or maybe I won't. But it's just enjoying reading the comic book and enjoying for what it's worth, and not to the point where it's like, now I've read it and now I'm talking to you and you mentioned something, and I said, well, actually, no, Joe. Um, Duke didn't do that. Duke saw Starscream, and it was his mission then to go back and like now he wanted to kill all of the robot aliens.
Mm,
So I'm like,
yes.
I don't want to like. It's no reason to be that person, but then also like I feel like that person takes away from your enjoyment of
Hmm.
this cool hobby that's out
Yeah.
there, like that everyone enjoys.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that's part of the dilemma is, you get so wrapped up into all that, and like
Yeah.
the
It's
nerd anger is what
it's
drove me
escape,
away.
right? It's escapism,
Yeah.
right? So it
Yeah, it's
shouldn't make
supposed
you
to be.
angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be
Once
something for everyone to enjoy on their own time, even though it's like then
and
there's
even
experts in this world. It's like
right, and
fun experts.
even if you're debating, even if you're having a rip roaring debate, right? At the end of the day, I don't know if you remember this old Looney Tunes cartoon with the sheep herder and Wile E. Coyote, where it's like, they come in the morning, they check in,
Yeah.
and then they go to start doing the thing, and then they're like, see you tomorrow, Sam. Bye,
Yeah.
Ralph.
Yeah.
It's like they
Yep.
play their part and they're going home. It's
Yep.
not like, oh, I can't stand you because you, like, for the end of the day, you know, I'm a Sith, TBJ's a Jedi. Like, we still can, we still coexist. It's not like, you know, I'm sitting there, like, away from wherever, just scolding, like, oh, that TBJ. Why won't you just come to the dark side? And like it's supposed to be fun. It's like we can say why we believe one is better than the other, but then at the end of the day, we should be able to sit there and have tea and biscuits, and everyone will be none the wiser and happier.
You say tea and biscuits?
Tea and biscuits.
Yeah, I think of it as like you know, like you said, harsher mellow, like somebody who there's these people who are experts at Disney and
Mhm.
Carowinds or whatever. Like I've been to Carowinds, I know every single ride, I know every place, and then you go just for a day with your family to enjoy Carowinds, and it's like, no, you're doing it wrong. You need to go see this one first, and then that ride, and then no, you don't understand Carowinds. Like no, it's like it's an
Right.
amusement park.
It's
I'm there for
right.
fun. Like
And
why are
everyone should have their own experience with something.
you?
Like, I can tell you how good it is or how great it is, but you still should be able to have your own experience. And if
Hmm.
your experience is different than mine, so well, you're not
It's supposed to
like,
be fun.
right,
It's supposed to be having
right.
fun.
This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
Artstar is a Sith, and he has very sexy thigh meat.
TBJ is a badass.
Professor Andy likes donuts.
Joe is a real man. Men want to be him, and women want to be with him. His wiener isn't weird at all.
First off, let's just start this off like, this is, hello, nerds. May or may not have noticed that you've only heard the Rock and Roll Express of nerddom talking, because we aren't joined by the other two, TBJ and Ando. They're gallivanting around the world.
Yeah, they eloped and they got married. They both suddenly realized they have feelings for each other. TBJ murdered Andy's wife, and they have run away together to Switzerland.
Yeah, no extradition. Um,
That's not true. See, I would say that just to get their goat, but neither one of those two is going to listen to this. So
right.
they don't listen.
But then even if they did, they'd be like, no. And then
Yeah,
Andy
she
will
loved
probably
it.
call you an asshole. or
Yeah.
something or
No,
another.
we should. I did think we should talk to Andy and have a debrief about where he is because he is at Sundance Film
Sundance.
Festival.
Hmm.
He goes there every year, and that's pretty nerdy. That's a nerdy thing.
Right.
And he's been like I don't know what you call it, vlogging or what do you call it when you like show a video
And vlogging.
vlogging. I guess it's a video log with our family chain on Marco Polo because my mom was asking, "Oh, I want to see everything you do. Show me everything." So they have been showing us everything. And then I watch, and it looks like a lot of fun every time he goes to Utah for that. And I said to him like, "Hey, if I wanted to attend uh, Sundance Film Festival, how much would it cost me? Like if I wanted to go and see everything, is there a pass or what?" And Susie looked it up and was like, "Yeah, it's you can get a pass to see everything. There's like the first part of it is when all the celebrities are there, and the second half is just like when they're not there, and it's just for movie
Hmm.
watching."
Hmm.
I think she said even the part without the celebrities, a pass is like $4,000 or something.
Well, I've seen that they have online where you can watch the documentaries and things, which I think you have to pay for that. I don't know
I
how
think
much
that's a
that is.
cheaper pass. You can just do the virtual where you don't actually
Right.
go there. So if you're really interested in the movies, which yeah, I think I probably am. I'm always a little jealous because he talks about these things that I've never heard of way before they come out. Um, but not worth spending money on for me. But if
Well,
you're a film,
dropping
if you
four bands,
what's that?
dropping four bands.
Oh
That's
yeah, definitely not. Definitely not for that. But if you're a film buff, if you're a film nerd, like
uh,
I know some people are really into just the art of film, and most of
and
those
see,
people go volunteer and stuff like that.
side joint.
Yeah.
You know, I fall down the rabbit hole. Like I feel like I am the White Rabbit. Um, but YouTube algorithm introduced me the other day to the Criterion Collection YouTube page where they'll
Mhm.
have like an actor or director or musician go
Uh-huh.
into this closet with nothing but like Criterion movies or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, man, I just watched the recent one with Ethan Hawke and I think his daughter. They was in there. And I was like, it must be nice to like I guess when I was a kid, like to me, I've always been on the visual side of art.
Hmm.
But it's like just the idea of like going to like film school and learning about films.
Yeah.
Like cause like I'm the type of person like I love a good classic movie, but then also like I love a lot of Criterion Collection type stuff. Like I'm gonna watch a Kurosawa film a lot, or I can watch something like 7 Days and
Well, when you
uh,
say I don't even know when you say Criterion Collection, is that just from a certain movie company or is that
yeah.
a style of
Sort of like
film?
sort
Because
of
I
like
see there's all
how
kinds of stuff on there.
sort of like how you have like
Do the Right Thing, isn't
yeah
that?
so yeah so like they're going through and they're like their art house pieces,
Yeah.
their silent movies, you have documentaries, but then just listening to like another thing I like watching like actors doing actors, like watching actors interview actors.
Talk about the craft.
Right.
What was that
Or
show
just
with the guy that would ask all the weird questions in front of like he was like a college
yeah, I
professor?
forget his name. I know exactly
You
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
talking about?
Like I have this thing still queued up in my YouTube or my crap ton of open browsers, but Ian McKellen talking to a class
You
is
still have that open?
still have it open.
I remember
It's
you
like
talked about that on a podcast
right.
like a year ago.
Right.
You
But it's
ever
one of
listen to
those
that?
things like I'll go in and I'll watch bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
But it's like I love listening to these people talk about, you know, their craft.
So you watched the one with Ethan Hawke and his daughter?
Yeah.
The daughter who was on Stranger Things, right?
Is it is her name Maya?
I think so.
Maya Hawks?
And it's also the mother of Maya would be Uma Thurman, correct?
Uma.
So they're the ones, and I've probably mentioned this on Nerd School before, but I uh, I was at a restaurant with them and Martha Stewart one time when she was a little girl, Not Martha Stewart wasn't a little girl, but Maya was, and she was running around the restaurant, like a fancy restaurant. The only reason I really remember mainly is because I was not allowed in this restaurant without a tie and a shirt and a jacket. Uh, so I went there with coworkers in Chicago when I lived there, and we were eating lunch, and we were like, "Oh my God, Martha Stewart is at the table right next to us." There's like a divider, but you could peek over it, and you could see Martha Stewart. Holy shit, Martha Stewart's there! And when she got up to leave, this seemingly homeless couple walked in. And I was like, "Oh, they're going to serve those homeless people?" Uh, that's weird because I have to have a shirt and tie, and but these homeless people in raggedy, ripped up jeans and a torn up flannel are waiting for a table with a kid. And then it turns out I look closer, it was Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. They don't have to dress nice because they're Ethan Hawke and Uma
Yeah.
Thurman.
Right.
And they had a little girl, and she's running all around, and she bumped into Martha Stewart, and like almost knocked her over, and they had to apologize to Martha Stewart for the way her daughter was acting. I was like, we just watched a celebrity interaction. This is funny. Like two different celebrities, politely engaged, and so I never forgot that just because of how they dressed or whatever. But so really, is what I'm saying is, Ethan Hawke and I were tight.
That's right.
I'm basically Maya's uncle, if that's her name, if that's even her name.
It's Maya.
Maya.
But
Yeah.
all right, so now I'm jumping around.
Back to Criterion Collection.
But yeah, so just watching that, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like at some point, we want to like how we do these things. Yeah, like I don't even like I said, I can't even consider this a nerdy 30 because we're not usually our nerdy 30 is
Well, number one, we got to start the clock if it's 30 minutes.
right, and then we kind of like have sort of a focus, like, oh, we're going to talk about, how we got to the point that we're at this point. I was like, but I feel like this is just content more getting us out.
Well, I mean, I have a feeling that no matter what we talk about, it's going to be something nerdy because even
right.
already we're talking about film nerds is nerdy.
And it's also, I don't want to say it's going to come full circle because like I have other things, but like right now I'm just this whole Criterion Collection thing. So my thinking is, I have this thing where we're like how we do, we have our in between phases type thing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we need more of that, where it's not no longer it's like in between, like just so randomly, if one of us just wants to like review some sort of classic movie, maybe it has comic ties to it, maybe it doesn't have, but like you say, like film nerd is a thing.
I almost thought, what if we just periodically just update each other on what we're consuming right now as far as media. Like
right.
I watched there was a movie I watched the other day, and I was like, this is the movie I'm watching. This is the show I'm on. I just finished season 1 of Daredevil. I kind of want to talk about it. It's like I watched season 1.
I feel like
I'm reading this comic book. The
and it's
Energon
one of those
universe.
Things where it's like we're thinking about going forward, right? Like Daredevil Born Again comes out in March.
Okay,
supposedly
that's a movie.
It's a show.
Oh, it's a show. It's a new show, right?
With two halves. Show with two halves, front end and back end.
Okay,
and it'll be from what I understand, it's also a season 2. But it kind of picks up, but it is also supposedly not. It's in a different. I guess the Netflix universe is going to be different from the main MCU universe.
Okay.
So like how we have this. So this guy.
So this Daredevil's separate than the Netflix one, even though it's the same guy playing him.
Right. So like it's not the Charlie Cox and the Wilson Fisk that we've seen.
Yeah.
From what I've read, are not the ones we've seen in the MCU.
Even though it's gonna be the same two guys, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Right. But then also, so like in the comic storyline, especially with the one with Chip Zdarsky, and that one is around the time where Wilson Fisk is mayor of New York. So it's and like they even it's weird because I'm kind of wondering if they're going to allude to that storyline, just because it was like he asked him why he stopped being the devil, kind of thing. Yada yada yada.
Could you
Um,
pick Chip Zdarsky? What is it?
Zdarsky.
Zardarsky? Zardarsky. I can't say it. Would you be able to
Zdarsky.
pick him out of a lineup? Like, you know what he looks like?
I know what he looks like. I've seen him. I sat on a panel of his at a couple of times at
Oh,
Heroes Con.
okay. So you've met him. You guys are tight. You
I
guys
didn't
are
meet him, but
you
I
guys are like
sat
best
on
friends.
him. Yeah.
But you didn't meet him like we met Larry Hama. Like
No, we
Larry
didn't-
Hama.
like I could say I've touched Larry Hama. We both had Larry Hama's essence around us. Like
Yeah.
we are for all intents and purposes in the G.I. Joe universe.
Oh yeah, we are because we both. And I gotta say, I noticed you doing it, so that's the only reason I did it. We both sniffed Larry Hama. Like I noticed you sniffing his ears gently, so I
Like you
sniffed his
smell
other
like
ear.
a Hasbro toy.
Yeah. We scratch and sniffed Larry Hama. And he did, I think he did start to feel uncomfortable around us. And that's how you know you've made an impression on somebody when they're
Close.
thinking about
Little
possibly
too
calling
close.
for security.
Right. But
Larry Hama, do you want to live with us?
so a lot of things I guess that kind of started me. Well, I said I was going to do this one thing where I had like a little rant I was going to do.
Yeah.
I started reading about this new Spider-Man, which comes out. What's today? What's today?
Today
The 27th?
is January 27th
Wednesday.
of 2025. It's a Monday.
So Wednesday, the 29th,
Yeah.
the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man cartoon show premieres Disney Plus.
Oh, Disney Plus, the new cartoon show.
But it's not in the MCU.
Oh,
Backlash.
it's not.
Backlash
I thought it was.
because Harry Osborn and his dad are both black.
Oh.
And
Wait,
then
Harry Osborn is Green Goblin, right? No,
that would be Hobgoblin.
no, that's Hobgoblin.
And his dad is Norman Osborn, who's Green Goblin.
Oh, right. Yeah. So James Franco
James
and
Franco.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
Is that right?
Yeah. Willem
Those two?
Dafoe.
So those guys are in this cartoon. There's a cartoon show. They're black,
They're black.
but Peter Parker is a white guy.
Yeah. And it's weird because his voice. It's weird because it's that same Tom Holland type thing. Because you're playing a teenager, but it's a 30-year-old voice in there.
Oh, it's a 30-year-old voice actor. And you said more people are upset that
Well, I
those
want to
guys
say more
are black.
people are upset,
Yeah.
but it's that whole like changing the continuity,
Yeah,
right?
people get upset
And then,
about
so
that.
from
yeah.
what we understand, it's a stylized. It's supposed to, and it's funny because I have the prequel issue of the comic, which I have not read yet.
Oh,
But
wait.
it's-
So there's a comic book that's a prequel that has already been published?
right.
It's a prequel to that show. So it's
Right.
like, I imagine it's the same drawing style.
Art style, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
And-
it kind of mimics Saturday morning cartoon.
ooh,
Or
okay.
let's say
Nostalgia.
Saturday morning newspaper cartoon.
Oh, okay. The
you have,
newspaper
like, that-
comics,
right.
yeah.
So you have that, but then like if you look at him, if you look at Harry, his mannerisms and the way that they have him dressed. Like I seen another article where they were sitting there saying, as far as we know, he's male, but we don't know how he identifies yet. So
Oh,
then
really?
it's like
So it might be a transgender thing?
right, or he
Wow.
might be
Oh, people are
non-binary.
they're gonna get so
So-
pissed about that.
Right.
Woke
So
police,
like
you know.
they're already kind of like, hey, he's black, but then they had to say, well, it's not in the MCU. You know, it's in a different timeline
Yeah.
than the main MCU storyline. So
Do
like
you
just
think-
having. Go ahead.
Do you think, or do you know, maybe do you think, is it now going to be a thing where every timeline has to be named now that they have the 616 and the 314 and the whatever they have, the 619?
No, I think what's going to end up happening is the sacred timeline. Like I feel like eventually they'll get us back to the sacred timeline, and then everything else will be. It'll have like that Ultimates feel, right? So like we have like the main universe, but then we have this universe where like maybe this person's dead, or that person is a woman, or that person
Yeah.
is that color, or that person is that.
I love that there's all these different
I mean,
time-wise.
it's good for entertainment. I feel like it's good for entertainment, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it's it's one of those things like it shows people that you can be in the fantasy world, you can be anybody or anything. You're not
A-
tied down to
Anything can be true. Yeah.
right. But
Any world. And really, it's like all this stuff is escapism, just to, and
mhm,
I feel like it goes in booms because when the world is shittier, like sometimes it's like
right.
I want to escape into I just want to watch movies. I want to watch
So
movies,
so na-
TV shows, and not watch the news, which is
and so
sad.
now when we watch the news though, then that's when the news encroaches into the entertainment world, which then encroaches into your fantasy or your childhood or things that you loved. We constantly have this debate about separating the art from the artist, right?
Yeah, right.
Especially when it comes to J.K. Rowling.
Yep.
And it's like one of those things where it's like,
Neil
you
Gaiman
know,
now.
right. And that's what I was going to. So you
Yeah,
have this thing where it's like you can say, you know, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to give him or her money. But then the project that they're on, it's like it's not just him or her. It's not like it's an indie book, and this is the only person who touched this book.
yeah,
So it's like you have that kind of inner fight, but then you have it where it's like, then there's the thing where it starts getting deeper into being like having to realize that things that we quote unquote could get away with or say back in the day, like as time changes, society changes, vernacular changes, things get phased out, and things which were quote unquote okay back then don't fly the way they fly now. Like how, people throwing around back in the day, people throw around the R word,
hmm
or they would, use a homophobic slur to describe something that was effeminate, and it was like everyone. I don't want to say everyone was okay with it, but it was one of those things where people didn't look at it, and like now it's like people have to realize you're older, society changing. You have to be, you have to be. I don't want to say more careful. You have to be cognizant of what you do and say, and realize that even if you're like in a fantasy world, there's still the reality where something that's okay in the fantasy world doesn't really fly in reality.
right.
Neil Gaiman. So I stumbled upon it. Have you read the Vulture article?
No,
So I read the Vulture article yesterday, and I'm like, wow, wow. And then not too like a little while before we got on here, I read his blog post from the 14th. So,
so he blogged about it.
well, he's talking about how he's been quiet for the past 5 months. Like
Yeah,
this article in Vulture came out, I guess, on like the 7th or something, and he waited a while. But like he in his blog post, he basically said he he didn't speak on it for like 5 months, out of respect for the people who was going through the thing and and what they were feeling, because he didn't want to either pile on or come off like kind of sort of insensitive.
yeah,
But just reading what he wrote and reading what I've read, I could see where if you don't have a definitive line as to what is consent and what isn't consent, you can see what some people think they're like, oh, I thought this was okay versus that's okay because it's normal. Like it's, but then at the same token, you have people saying, well, now no longer will they like, I'm burning my books. I'll never read like
yeah.
Sandman again. I'm doing this. Good Omens is a show that he had where it's supposed to be, got picked up for a third season.
Well, it's a
He,
book with Terry Pratchett originally,
yeah,
right?
right. He's no
That's the only
longer
reason I
in,
knew it is from
yeah,
Terry Pratchett.
he's no longer involved with the third season, and the third season is now no longer a third season. it's a 90-minute movie. So that's them distancing themselves from Neil. So it's just like that whole pulling the artist from the artist kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like in his mind, he did nothing wrong because he was having what he thought was consensual things with, like he said, he was emotionally unavailable to these people, but he was wrong because he was sexually available to them when he shouldn't have been. Like you realize he should, like, his needs should have been like way in the back. He should have that whole get clarity before you agree to do things when you're in one, a position of power,
Yeah.
but two, like you're famous and these people are not to sit there and say that they're less than you, but it's like like you have that what's the word I'm looking for?
That
Uh it's
influence over somebody.
right because of the position that you're in.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
I
so
don't
then
know.
you
I all I knew is there was something with Neil Gaiman, but I
oh
didn't
no,
know what it was at all. But
he
it
was
has
doing
to
all
do
of
with
these
people
things.
that are
Him and his
inferior,
ex-wife, him and his
huh?
ex-wife. It's like it's one of that. I don't want to. It's not even Hollywood. It's like we all have, like the world has its kinks, right? The world has its kinks, its fetishes and things of that
Yeah.
nature. But if Joe Blow has this extreme kink, and Joe Blow does things with someone, and then you have uh Travis Kelsey does some stuff, it's they both did the same thing. But because he has that position of power, and the person that he did these things with, like when it comes off, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But
If it's
then
somebody
two,
who's
it's
subordinate
like
to you.
you have to sit there and be like you can't sit there and just assume that they're okay with this because they're quote unquote giving consent. Like, that's the whole safe word. Like your safe word should be ironclad. It should be like an ironclad NDA type safe word, as opposed to Joe Blow can sit there and say, oh, safe word strawberry. She said strawberry. I heard her say strawberry. Okay, boom. Oh, she said strawberry. Like, yeah, she said strawberry, but you're Travis Kelsey. She probably said it under her breath.
Wait,
And
wait. Travis Kelsey did something too, or are you just
no,
using him as an example?
I just trying to use someone. Like, that's the first thing that came to my mind who hadn't
Oh,
done anything.
but okay. So yeah, you're
Yeah,
confusing me because now I'm
as
like, oh,
far as
what's
I know,
Taylor
Travis
Swift
Kelsey
into?
hasn't done anything.
Yeah, don't
But
ruin the
it's one of those.
Swifties.
It's one of those things where, you know, like I say, him and Amanda Palmer, like they were a type of couple. Like literally, he said that the reason
Who's he? Who are we talking about? Neil?
Neil,
Okay.
the reason he slept with this girl in the tub in their house, wherever this was in I want to say it was in New Zealand maybe. But the reason he did it was because she told her. So his wife, like this young lady was attached to his wife. And so his wife, it was almost like Professor Marston. It was almost like Professor Marston.
Okay.
Like this
It
woman.
was almost like a three-way thing.
Right. So this woman, I felt like she had feelings toward Amanda Palmer, and Amanda Palmer, like, you know, had like, "Won't you come do this? Do this, do this?" She ended up becoming their nanny, but then
Oh.
she tells Neil Gaiman that he can't have her, and he looked at it as a challenge, and the only
Oh.
so he's like the reason he did what he did with her was because Amanda said that he can have her, and he wanted to prove her wrong that he could. It's like
Oh.
you have this high-powered couple latching on to some young woman who's she big fan of Amanda Palmer, big fan of her. She's only in Neil Gaiman's world because Amanda Palmer brought her, and like she's from like Florida or somewhere, like forward this young lady into that world. And so, from what I could read, him and Amanda Palmer back in the day used to do all of these, have like it feel like contest, or they were just like their sexual life was they're the eyes wide shut type feel like.
And so Amanda Palmer's married to Neil Gaiman, right?
I don't know if they're still. I think they're separated now.
According to, so they're married, and there was another person who got involved, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I forget her
Oh.
name because they name her in the article.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But
I
then,
guess I'll have to read it. I don't know enough
there's
about
been
this.
like 8 other people that sit and say like, he's taking liberties, and it's like, and because he's soft spoken, and it's like, I guess the one lady, she filed a police report, and then
Mhm.
he's texting her asking her, "Is she okay?" So it's like there's like that grooming aspects, and then
Yeesh.
it's just like, but then so you're sitting there, and it's like, here's this great writer, and then like so they're breaking down like some of his stories coincide with like some of the characters in his story coincide with the people in his life and the way that they act. So it's like
I guess they
art's
are estranged.
right. So art's imitating life, but then you also have now it gets to the point where it's like it's you want to be like, and this is what. Long story short,
Yeah.
reading this article,
Yeah.
it was like I saw on, as an artist, I always say, separate the art from the artist, right?
Yeah.
But I could see more from this angle, more of the J.K. Rowling hate. I can understand it a little more.
You
just
understand it
reading-
more now because of this.
Right. Well, because like I say, Neil K. Like it's one of those things where if you read his blog, like reading it, he sincerely doesn't feel like he did anything wrong. And it's one of those things where it's like just reading the article, I'm like, it's one of those things where
This feels like TBJ territory.
yeah. I feel like TBJ will probably explain it better.
Yeah, she
But it's
probably
one of those-
knows it in and out what happened.
But
and
it's one of those things where, again, you can sit there and say that I have consent, but like once you're at a certain level, your consent has to be like we have to have lawyers present and stuff notarized, and it just can't be like you create a safe word. I'm like, okay, or you sitting there saying, "Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do this?" And then I say yes, but like, are you sure now? Like, I'm not like I mean, because this
Now
is not like
I'm picturing you and Neil Gaiman having
right,
a sexual
but like
encounter.
him and they're into like BDSM, so they're into some bondage and shit. So it's one of those things like, you have to be like, are you sure? It's no like, yeah, okay, sure, and this person not knowing what they're getting into, because you have so far to fall, right? Whereas Joe Schmo, don't no one know who Joe Schmo is. So now Neil Gaiman has effectively, possibly ruined his career because he liked to do a little freaky deaky stuff, and because him and it's one of those like literally like I've seen tons of movies where like matter of fact when I first read the article all I was thinking about was Professor Marston, and I was like this feels like a Professor Marston type thing. You have like a couple who's sitting here and they are using humans as pawns
Yeah.
because they can.
That was the creepy. I mean, that whole bondage thing is just like that's where you lose me. Like I mean, I get it. They were into that in Marsden, and you can be in with whatever you're into behind closed doors. But for me, it's like if you're into that thing, I feel like you sacrifice your ability to uh like accuse anybody of anything because you're already into this weird shit. So now whatever you're into, now I'm not saying you.
Yeah, but here's the
can't
thing.
not
Here's the thing.
consent. You can't be raped when you do that. Obviously,
We
you can
can't
be,
kink
but
shame.
oof.
We can't kink. The thing is,
Dangerous.
we can't kink shame. This is
Yeah,
why
you
when
can't
TBJ
kink
would
shame. That's
come and
kink
say,
shaming, I
We
guess.
can't kink shame.
Yeah, I guess we
But
can't.
It's one
But
of those
it's
things where like because you know you're in that, like I said, you have to be like there has to be a clear cut line of consent. It can't be
It's
just a
gross.
casual consent because the other person, may be a pro, and maybe you're just like, oh, I'm an amateur, blah blah blah, and then before you know it, you walk into a room and then curtains go up in there like a wall full of glass, and they're like people in masks watching everything, and you're like, didn't know what the hell you stepped into. You stepped into a world that you didn't wholeheartedly agree to because you just thought it was you and some guy or gal, and there was going to be a little flogging, and that was going to be it. That's all you thought, you
Yeah,
know. And now you walk into an international world of the black market, the gray
ugh,
market,
yeah,
get whisked away to Prague.
yeah.
What's
It's
going on?
it
Yeah.
gets weird. Yeah, and that's nerdy too. I guess you can be a nerd for kinky stuff, bondage and all that. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about any of that. That's where I step out. Like, I'm not informed enough on this topic, and I never will be. Just kind of like when it gets into the whole,
Oh no.
yeah, well, the whole war. When they get the Israel, Gaza, Hamas, all that. Like, I bump into people who are adamant about one side or the other,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, I'm just a dumb white guy that doesn't like. I can't. I'm not informed. But we're over 30 minutes. We're at like an hour. All we talked about was Neil
Has it been an
Gaiman.
hour? I
Yeah,
think
it's been.
I guess it's one of those things where like I feel like Neil Gaiman was going to be the
Well,
bigger
he's a
part just
comic
because
book
he's
guy,
yeah,
right?
Sandman. Um, and it's like one of his character like the article that like if you read the Vulture, it's hard to if you try to read the Vulture article,
Yeah,
or if you go into the website, what's going to happen is it's going to have you, unless you pay for Vulture, it's going to tell you have to pay to finish reading. The trick is, the trick is when you go to a newspaper or magazine websites,
yeah,
some of these articles, if you go into your URL bar, your URL bar,
yeah,
and you hit the reader function and make it so you're just reading the text on the page
yeah,
and not looking at the pictures or whatever, it'll let you read it. Like the paywall basically gives them consent for the most part to show you the advertisement and try to get you to click here. So
yeah,
not only do they get paid for that, but then paid for this. But a lot of the connection that was made between Gaiman and his characters from Sandman and him, like it seemed like a stretch, but it seemed spot on. You know?
yeah. Well, and I saw he's been dropped by Dark Horse.
Yep.
Um, and
And
so,
like
yeah,
and like
again, we,
literally,
yeah,
if you ever heard him speak, and if you read his vlog, you can hear his voice, and it's not like a play. It's just giving his side of the thing, and it's like, you know, I guess at one point I think he says he was emotionally unavailable but
mhm,
sexually available to her, and that was wrong. So it's like that
yeah.
taking account for that,
Yeah, at least he's admitting something, but
right? But
it's
then
kind of
it's
like the Louis
also,
C.K.
but
apology
it,
where he's like, "Oh,
yeah, but
I'm
he
sorry
used
if you,
misinformation a couple of times and
yeah,
say that like, yeah, you guys got me all wrong.
yeah." Like
You
Louis
know,
C.K.'s thing was like, "I'm sorry if you were offended," kind of thing. Like he did. I don't know that he acknowledged his power in the issue. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of the thing. It's the power. That's the big thing that seems to be a common thing with these celebrities. Is like
And it's not even not
they don't have,
and
yeah, they
and
don't fathom their power they have over
right.
somebody.
And then it's one of those things that you have to once you realize you do have power, like just stop talking. A lot of times,
Yep.
unless you have an agent or someone, the
Yep.
more you talk, the bigger your hole you deep it. You dig it. You get it. The deeper the hole you dig. Yeah.
You mean after
Whereas
you've
like
done it already?
right.
And the
So like
apology,
Gaiman, he did this. He waited and he said what he said. With Whereas JK, she's one where she constantly talks, and like then you get into like the whole freedom of speech thing. But then it's also like if no one's checking for you, go away. Continue to
But
do what
JK didn't do anything sexually, right? She just is transphobic
you're
or
right.
something.
But then it's also like it's like we all have opinions, and sometimes our opinions, aren't meant to be blurted out.
Yeah, keep your shit to yourself if you don't have anything nice to say.
All right.
That's what I always say.
And
That's
especially
the golden rule.
especially especially if you have the media's ear.
Yeah, right. And if you're somebody influential on people, because there's people that will, oh my God, I love Harry Potter so much. Whatever J.K. Rowling says. Oh, she thinks trans people are monsters. Oh, so now so do I because I love Harry Potter. That's power right there.
All right.
So yeah. Well, what about uh, Dungeons and Dragons?
Um
Do you like it?
I'm okay with Dungeons. I'm playing Baldur's Gate. I haven't played
Baldur's
it in a
Gate,
while, but I'm
Baldur's
playing
Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that was the one to play. And then what about the Deborah Joe Ruppaverse? Are you into this whole
I
concept that's going
I
viral about the
I
Deborah Joe
believe
Ruppaverse?
I believe it will be a thing. I believe it will be a thing. You
Yeah,
know.
there's people on TikTok that are talking about this weird Deborah Joe Ruppaverse thing. Like Deborah Joe Rupp is a Nexus being. Do you subscribe to that theory?
I do. I do. I believe she could be. I could be. I believe she could be.
And this has been a Nerdy 30 with Artstar and Joe talking about pop culture,
Random.
news, nerdy news, and things that are in the news. But this would have been a
and,
TBJ centered one because she's always got like the Hollywood.
and I'm
I don't,
sure when
I don't want to say
on
gossip, but
and a hot, she comes with the hot guys.
I guess it's a
She's
hot
one of- and
goss.
also TBJ, she knows where to be, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like she put me D to book talk, which got me to the point where it's like I can understand
yeah,
TikTok a lot. But then she
yeah.
also tells me there's a spot called Messy Talk, which I'm not on. But so sometimes, like let's say we're at work, she'll be just explaining stuff to me about something, and it'll be
Yeah.
stuff from that she learned on Messy Talk, and I was like, "Where are you hearing this stuff at?" And like, "It's on Messy Talk." Like, I don't even know what that is.
I feel like she explained that last time, but I don't remember what it was. I'm on a
But it's
weird
like
side of TikTok
it's
also. I'm on a conspiracy side, I think.
it's one of those things where it's like you search for one thing, and then you start going through it, you drilling down, and then before you know it, you'll see all of the stuff that everyone's talking about,
I think it's
without
weird
having to
because
look for it.
they have to use all these uh, code words on TikTok because there's certain words that are banned.
Hmm.
And so it's
Or
like
like
all these.
I
Oh,
just found out about the Clapper app.
yeah, somebody was telling me about that. I saw somebody
So like
talking
this
about that.
one dude I follow, he's a toy collector. His name is Drost Beef. You would like this dude. 'Cause this dude, he
Drost
does
beef.
Drost Beef.
Okay.
He does like this whole intro and his wrestling. And then like him and this other dude sometimes, I guess they would talk about like the latest toy that they got, and they literally will cut promos. He'll have like a Ric Flair roll board, cut the promo against having the best toy pickup of this week or whatever. But he sit there, he'll be like, I got another video on, and he does the hand clapping motion website. I'm like, oh. And then it's another one where people say like, catch me on the play button site. And I'm like, what are they talking about? What is the play button site? And I'm like, oh, it's a YouTube. And then I found out Clapper when TikTok went away. I was like, oh, so this is like another live stream service. But like everyone's doing hand signals and saying other things. I'm like trying to figure out like what the hell are these people talking about? And they older than me.
Is this Zoom still even recording? Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, so I got disconnected again. My speaker, something wrong with my Zoom recorder or whatever, so I could only hear a little bit of that, but I was gone for a second. But yeah,
Okay, I was.
technical
I was.
difficulties in this nerdy 30, but I think we'll leave it at that. We might get together again next week, Art, and do another one of these.
Oh, let me just say this.
Yeah.
So I finished listening to our last episode, which was the Star Wars one,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you did you listen to it as you do you listen to these when you playing them back or
Yeah, I have to
edit them?
edit them. Yeah.
Did you listen to the very end?
Yes. Yeah. When I
It
got
was
cut off.
it was the most hilarious thing because we all was in here. It
Yep.
was like, ha ha.
That is
I was like,
exactly what happened. What you guys said was right.
we
I
forgot.
forgot I wasn't the host. I left, thought I ended it, and you guys were like, haha, he's an idiot.
It was the greatest thing ever.
That was very funny. Yeah. Yeah, so I couldn't wait to see. And I was honestly surprised you guys didn't go on longer. You guys pretty much wrapped it up. But yeah, I had to get that audio from Zoom, which I was glad to know that even if I leave, it still continued till you were done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was funny. But now
Well,
I'm going to end
nerds,
this abruptly
next
like I
time
always do.
everyone will be here, or at least 3/4 of us, or at some aspect.
Yeah,
I always know you can depend on the Rock and Roll Express to show up.
that's right. We're the only ones dedicated.
I wouldn't say that. I would just say, if anything, we come off as the losers.
Yeah. Yeah, TBJ and Andy are busy. They're busy people.
Right.
TBJ is jet setting all over the world.
He's
Though.
jet setting, styling and profiling.
And if you follow her on Instagram, sometimes she leaves like some reviews and some cute little videos about places she's been and done, and that's kind of cool. So people should check that out. TBJ rules.
Yeah. TBJ rocks.
They say I can't rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end it race.
The Nerd School podcast is a product of History for Jerks and a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more about History for Jerks at historyforjerks.com. Check out the Gruff and Loud Show on YouTube, a show with two jackass Gen X dudes drinking beer, smoking weed, and rambling about pop culture. Also, check out the American Timelines podcast featuring Joe and Amy. It's true crime meets history and pop culture. There's also a dumb t-shirt shop on Threadless created by History for Jerks. You can buy a Gordon Jump shirt or an Edie McClurg shirt. It's really dumb and stupid.